Before we start the video, guys, make sure you eat your steak. It's very important you eat your steak with magic cards, maybe some Black Lotuses. I just realized, guys, you can basically cast Sarah Angel with 2 Black Lotuses on the board. What a great life. All right, guys, enjoy the video.
Vintage Magic. Game, collect, invest. For more information about our consulting and professional services, visit vintagemagic.com.
All right, guys, welcome back. Welcome back. It's me, Daniel, with vintagemagic.com. Yes, and today we have what I feel like on the 2020, this year has been absolutely nuts. Things that have changed in Magic, things that will happen in 2021, some of my predictions. Let's get right into it. All right, so number one thing that I think that was a shocker to me was the escalation rise of Bitcoin, cryptocurrency in general, but Bitcoin especially. Bitcoin, as you know, is this thing that's gone all the way up to 20,000 at one point, then went down to like 3,000, and now it's at like 29,000. What the hell's going on, right? So Bitcoin, guys, has impacted Magic quite a bit. There's a lot of things that are happening, and I think what's going to happen for me is I'm going to start accepting Bitcoin starting 2021. I'm working on kind of how I'm going to do that, but I'm going to start doing that because I think it's definitely here to stay. I think with PayPal, for example, being involved, they're going to be accepting Bitcoin. I think next year in some fashion, like a currency, conversion type of thing. I feel like it's getting more and more mainstream, and it's time to get at least some exposure into it. And quite honestly, it's just like another. I don't consider it. Warning: this is not a Bitcoin video. I'm not a Bitcoin expert or a crypto expert. But I will say that I still do not believe it's going to take over the currency of the United States or the world's and euro or whatever. That's not what I think is going to happen. I think Bitcoin is like one of those things where it's a finite amount of Bitcoins, and it's almost like a collectible at some point. It's not like a collectible you can hang on your wall or play cards with. It's more about it's one of those like another asset to diversify in. That's how I look at it. Do I suggest putting all your money into Bitcoin or cryptocurrency? No. Hell no. Hell with a big hell no, right? The thing is, though, if you don't get exposure into it, well, you're going to be missing the boat. And the thing is, the reality is, the way the world's going, the world is willing to take more risk and divert from like traditional stocks, bonds, real estate type of assets. All right. Now, for 2021, I have a feeling that Bitcoin will probably take a little bit of a dumpster fire, in my opinion. I feel like there's going to be a point where it's going to go down dramatically. There's going to be a sell-off. And that sell-off has a lot to do with the fact that a lot of the markets, and I'll talk about the stock part because that's part of the video, stocks, everything else in this world has gone up so high that I feel like next year there could easily become some type of breakup in terms of pricing. It has to happen. It's gone up so high. Now, do I think it's going to go to 30,000? Absolutely. I think it's going to go 30,000 before it goes down more. So that's the way it's going to look. Now, do I think it's going to go 100,000? No, not before it goes down. See what I'm saying? So understand that this Bitcoin thing, eventually people have to cash out of it. And they have to put their money to work in other collectibles, investments, real life, big boy stuff. If you're sitting in your apartment and you got a Bitcoin or 2 Bitcoins or whatever, you're playing poker, you're doing some gambling, you're buying a Lamborghini, well, you're going to have to also buy a house and buy more realistic stuff like like medical bills, college tuition. If you get married, you have a girlfriend, shopping, whatever, right? It's going to have to happen. But Bitcoin isn't going to be like, oh, I can go to Nordstrom's or I can go to pay my medical bills off Bitcoin. It's not going to happen. If it does happen, it's going to be a long time, right, for that. It's going to be a while for that to happen, in my opinion, especially medical bills, tax payments, stuff like that. But for now, it's become definitely something to get exposure in. Another thing I will warn you about is the tax implications. Jeez Louise. So with Bitcoin, remember, once you sell it, you will get taxed. I'm not sure how it works as if you receive it. I'll report what I get, I guess, but it's so weird because if you get Bitcoin and then you, let's say you trade, let's say I give a client an Alpha Lotus and they give me some Bitcoin or whatever, right? Or the equivalent worth at that point. Do I have to report on my taxes that the Bitcoin was sold? I got Bitcoin, but the Bitcoin keeps changing up and down all the time. It's like almost a collectible to a collectible, another commodity to a commodity. Comment below if you know the answer to that. I got to ask my CPA in my next meeting, but I don't know how that works. All right. Next, I talked about it a minute ago. Yes, stocks. I feel like stocks this year was an incredible bull run of the century. Remember, when this pandemic happened, it tanked to down 19,000. I did a video on this, down 19,000. I thought it was going to be doomsday. No, completely wrong. If you put your money in pretty much any stock, like any stock, especially Tesla, Amazon, any of those stay-at-home stocks, Zoom, you made a fortune if you went all in, especially. But a lot of people didn't go all in, but they still made a lot of money. The question here is, if you have a 401k, you can't cash out of it. What do? You keep it in tech stocks? Okay. If you are trading, right? Do you still do this? Do you still invest in this? Do you go option trading? Do you go different kind of exotic trades now? What do you do right now? I really feel like with stocks that they're in 2021, the interest rate, for example, number one, the interest rates are going to stay low. That's going to happen. I think stocks are going to reach higher in 2021 because interest rates are going to stay low. Now, with the corona situation, yes, it affects it. But the thing is, the vaccine's here. I do feel, though, if the vaccine doesn't go as fast from a global economy standpoint, the stocks could push lower. And there could be, and especially if there's like this new strain and it affects the entire world and blah, blah, blah. You got to watch the news a little bit more on that. That if anything in the corona mess slows down the economy, the recovery essentially of the travel industry, the hotel industry, stuff like that, right? If it slows it down, you're going to see the stocks drop because all the stocks have priced in that the economy is going to grow back. I'm not saying every stock. There's a lot of stocks that can still go up because they're hoping that there's a recovery long term and it's a little slower. But a lot of stocks have priced in a huge global recovery. So I would say that from a Magic position, my feeling is 2021 is that people are going to probably divert a little bit more from stocks and still focus on more non-traditional asset investing, like collectibles, other type of games. We'll talk about that in a second. And, the Bitcoin thing. That's what I think, and that's what I think that's going to happen with the stock part. All right, so the next thing I want to talk about is real estate. Okay, so real estate in 2020 has skyrocketed, especially in areas that are more like suburbia America places. Markets like Seattle, or more suburbia Seattle, Denver, stuff like that, Las Vegas. Those suburbia markets are growing. Texas area, Florida. Here's what I'll also say about it too, is that you see in the news like Larry Ellison from Oracle, Tesla, Elon Musk, people are getting the hell out of California. I just looked up the state income tax. It is 13.3%, I think, for the highest bracket for California. 13.3%. I mean, look it up. Google right now. What are the highest state income taxes in the United States? In fact, look at the states that do not have income tax. You ready? I can name some. Texas, Florida, South Dakota, Washington, Wyoming, and I think there's 2 others. 7. I think there's 7 states. That's it. I mean, that's absolutely ridiculous, right? So you'll have to pay a double whammy. You pay the federal income tax, and you pay the state income tax, and you pay state sales tax. Triple whammy on some states. So remember, it's very important to readjust your life. I feel like with real estate, it's very expensive right now. But you'll probably already making more money in the sense that if you've made money on the stock market, you've made money on the Bitcoin thing or other investments, you probably have made more money. So all in all, 2020 has been a bull market for that. Now, but for 2021, here's what's going to happen. No one's going to sell their houses. I don't see anybody selling out of their houses. All I see is housing becoming more and more expensive. I see that the real estate prices are probably here to stay. I probably see maybe like a 10, 20% correction if the economy goes a little wonky with the stock market. Check that out. You know, the corona thing's a little slower, as I mentioned before. If the recovery is slower, I see the stock market just kind of, actually the real estate market actually growing a little bit more. And the reason why I say that is because the suburbia market is going to be on fire, because if this corona thing's still out there, people are going to start making adjustments in their life, and they're going to realize that they want to work from home. They don't want to be around people. Another pandemic could happen. And they realize also, more importantly, that time with family, friends, people that are close in their network is more important. And you can do that around the world, anywhere. I've met people who have been in Hawaii, Bali, Thailand, whatever, and they just want to go to other places and just type on their computer and work, and they have a better quality of life. So quality of life is a huge thing, and I see corporate America, I see small businesses even attempting to work from home, to do negotiated packages for your actual work life, right? And actually work from home. I see more of that happening. I see more companies developing that way. The world's just evolving. That's all it is. It's just evolved. It's just evolved. That's all it is. All right, so next thing I want to talk about is other games. I haven't done any videos on it, except I'll just mention it now, like Flesh and Blood. I know Rudy's been crazy about Flesh and Blood and his alpha box that's gone up like crazy. This card, Stone Cold Steve Austin card that looks like a Black Lotus wannabe effect, $5,000. Okay, here's my take on it. Here's my take. I see it as a bubble. I'm going to be honest. Dead honest. I see it as a bubble. If only one thing happens that will change my mind. If the game becomes substantially better or as good as Magic the Gathering. You're right. You're damn right I said it. Magic the Gathering. It is the benchmark. It is the game that has, it's first off, it's exactly the same idea, right? You have collectible cards, Flesh and Blood. Collectible cards, Magic. You have foil stuff, Flesh and Blood, foil stuff for Magic. You have this game that's Flesh and Blood on cards. You have a game that's on Magic the Gathering. The difference here is that Magic the Gathering is this game where it has a huge following, huge online presence, and there's a thing called Hasbro that's backing it. What's backing Flesh and Blood is some New Zealand founder who, entrepreneur, he seems to be a nice guy. I've heard a lot of stories on how he started this game. And there's people that either love it or people that just don't like it at all. It's too complicated, too obtuse. I'm not sure where it's going to go. I've seen Luis Scott Vargas do videos on it. His friend, I've got his name wrong, but something Layton, another Hall of Famer guy, Josh Layton, something. He's a very great Magic player, playing Flesh and Blood on the Channel Fireball channel, online. So that's going to get marketing out there. Am I convinced it's an investable? No. I got to tell you, collectible card games has to be not only collectible, but it has to be a card game. It has to be a significant card game that stands the test of time. What you'll be doing if you put money in Flesh and Blood is purely speculation. It's like buying a Marvel comic box back in the day, right? And it's thinking, this box is going to survive the test of time. Those Star Trek cards, test of time. Star Wars cards, test of time. Everything is a test of time. You get some exposure. Do I say go all in? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. Just like the Bitcoin thing, do not go all in. what I would do is have exposure on different areas. It's okay to buy some of it. If you feel like in your heart, this is going to go crazy, fine. But do not go all in on one thing. It's very difficult because if any of these fall apart, which there will be something that will fall apart, or it could cripple your investment, your portfolio, cripple it. All right, so for 2021, do I think it's going to keep rising? What do I think? Well, Flesh and Blood long term, I don't think it's going to survive. I think for now, 2021, I see boxes coming out. They might come out with a semi-reserve list for it. They might mimic Magic in some way. But the thing I'm really concerned about is wallet fatigue. The typical gamer, the reason why Magic is so successful is that the game is amazing, right? But the gamers, the people that buy into Flesh and Blood now, there's a lot of speculation. They want something new, and they're staying home. But once the wallet fatigue hits, once you have grown-up bills, you have other things you want to play, other things you want to invest in. And then Magic Gaming comes back where you have basically the Magic Fest. I'll talk about it in a second. Magic Fest and all the tournaments and all the things you did with your LGS store. Those come back. Will there be enough capital for those gamers to buy into Flesh and Blood like they're doing now? Also, you also have a situation with Magic doing it on their phone and maybe a tablet or something, right? Where it's going to be, a lot more, well, they have Magic Arena, but on their phone especially. Is that going to, are people going to devote that time, the effort, the energy, and the resources for Flesh and Blood or other games that come out, whatever? And I got to say, Rudy, you have to understand, Rudy is in the distributor, the Costco business. He gets it at the lowest price he can, wholesale price, and then sells it to his patrons. That's how he gets his capital. He also gets Patreon money and Google money, right? Google AdWords money. His job is to market those products. And when you buy them from him, he doesn't keep every position. He keeps some positions, maybe some, but he rarely speculates and buys out everything. What he really loves, and you notice what he's buying, is reserve lists, old school boxes, old school cards, stuff that is really old and unique that is basically back in his day. To go all in. You don't see him saying, I'm selling out of all my Magic and I'm buying only Flesh and Blood. That would be stupid because he would never do that. And you have to understand, you should not do it either. It's a stupid idea. All right, so next thing is Magic events, Magic festivals, Magic, whatever. This did not happen really in 2020 at all. In March, they pretty much shut down all conventions, and now you have nothing going on. LGS stores aren't doing any tournaments. I do see some people doing some gaming with some social distancing, not without masks either, which is kind of a little weird. And they're not even 6 feet apart. But I will say Magic Fest next year, conventions, that whole kind of thing going on. I feel like there might be a trial run of this in August, September, warmer months, maybe July of next year. But I'm not sure and convinced that it's going to be like this crazy, explosive Magic Fest that you've seen in Vegas before. I don't think it's going to happen. I don't think it's going to happen. Do not bank on that. Yeah, what you can bank on is that there's going to be, if there's any event that happens, well, you could go to the vendor, social distance, there's 6 feet potential, that's fine, right? More than mask. You could also play games in Magic if you have that plexiglass. Well, the plexiglass is a very, very expensive product because think about, remember at a Magic Fest, there's hundreds, if not thousands of different players, right? Kind of playing in different events. And you're going to have that plexiglass the entire time, right? Also, you're also going to have to talk through a mask and go to a convention. If you went to a convention anytime, you'll realize that it's freaking loud anyway. And then you have to say, does this resolve? What? What'd you just say? Does it resolve? Does it resolve? I countered you. I forced you. What? What did you just say? See, the thing is, there's going to be so many, the judges are going to go crazy. They're going to be like, this guy is mumbling. I don't know what the hell he's talking about. I didn't even understand what he was saying. I just said, whatever, go. Do you see what I'm saying? This is the problem. What solutions does Wizards have? Does Channel Fireball have? I don't think, I don't know. I'm not an inside knowledge of that. My guess, not happening. Not happening at all, unfortunately. Now, there could be collector kind of driven social distancing events more. However, the problem is every single state has these rules that they don't even allow these. I think in Washington, you can have 4 people at Nevada, you got 4 people at a seat for dinner recently. And that's it. So there's no conventions. California's all shut down. Washington's shut down. Everywhere's all shut down again. New York's all shut down. You have to do a mandatory 14-day quarantine. I mean, it's ridiculous, right? Hawaii, you also have to do like these the rapid tests. You can come to Hawaii, but you have to do a test within 72 hours or something. And then if you pass negative, you're allowed to come in, not to do the 10-day quarantine. It's now 10 days. So regardless, this whole thing in the world we know in Magic Fest, it's not happening for 2021. I will say that truly will continue to affect the prices of Magic in a weird way. And so that's the last thing I'm going to talk about is Magic. How is it going to go? 2020 was a very interesting year. I saw prices in the older cards actually go down a little bit and then plateau back up, right? There's been actually growth a lot in alpha cards, playables, Power 9, there's interest in buying that again, dual lands. People are still buying the cards. People still love the quad plus, quad crazy numbers. They still love the altars, sign cards, artist proofs. People are still buying odd stuff. Also, the artwork is still going up like crazy. I mean, at the Magic card market, the MTG art market, they have tons of artwork that have sold for multi-5 figures. If not, I think there's some that sold for there's a Force of Will Scott Fisher sold for like $65,000. I mean, something like that. I mean, it's ridiculous. I mean, it's great art, but do you see what I'm saying? Like you thought the world had a pandemic. I mean, where's the pandemic? People are spending money of that caliber on artwork. And it's not just one piece, it's multitude of pieces. So I really feel like that trend will not change in 2021 at all. I actually think that it's going to continue to grow. People are going to still buy artwork and cards and stuff. Now, I think there's only one triggered event that I think that will cause a shakeup in prices. The only trigger event that I could actually think of, the only doomsday scenario, which I don't think is going to happen, is that if the coronavirus fiasco becomes where the vaccines are not effective and the recovery is so slow that people start dying at a faster pace. If that is the case, where the light, what's it saying? Light down the tunnel is there's no light, coming out of the tunnel, whatever. You don't see the light coming out. I'm getting these sayings, these freaking easy cliches, whatever. My whole point is that if there is nothing we can feel that will be strong enough and impactful enough, and then if people start losing their jobs, people start dying like crazy, because if the United States gets the vaccine, okay, and we are, the first ones, but the world doesn't get it either, the global economy, which is Magic also, right, will not happen for a while. It's going to take about another 2 to 3 years for it to actually, the no mask thing. Oh, I think, by the way, mask thing, the whole like social distancing thing, that thing is lasting for years because it's just the way it is. So, like it or not, this is the way it's going to go. Now, do I think your portfolio is going to go down? No, I don't think so. People are still going to feel good. They're going to hold on to their cards, play Skype games, play on other formats so they can play their games. I've seen some awesome things come out of Magic, like old school Magic Singleton, 7 points. You have 7 points, meaning certain cards have points, and you allocate those points for certain cards. Alpha 40 is growing. You have other people that are playing your Commander online on Skype. So people are still playing Magic, and that's not going to end. The thing is, though, I feel like the one worst case scenario is if the recovery is so slow and there's more deaths, you start losing jobs, a global impact, I see Magic cards being sold out a little bit to for a survivable. All right, so I talked about a lot of little things there, a lot to digest in. I want to hear now in the comments below, what do you think? Am I wrong? Am I right? We never know. I hope you guys are being safe. Hope you guys have a good new year. And we'll talk to you guys soon. Enjoy the videos coming in 2021. Hey everyone, it's Daniel Chang with VintageMagic.com. In this video, I want to run through our consultation service on VintageMagic.com. So what's really exciting to me about the consultation process is meeting you. I've met so many incredible people in the Magic the Gathering industry all over the world, and this consultation process is the key part to a successful working relationship. Getting hold of me is very simple. You could call or email me. We'll talk more about your needs. From all that information I gather in our call, typically about an hour long, I'm going to determine the best solution for you. So because we have such a suite of services that we offer, I'm going to sit down with a follow-up call, and then we're going to go off and determine what the best path is. I have experience in handling conversations in regards to large collections of artwork, sets of cards, either if it's graded or ungraded, raw cards. I also have dealt with collections with lots of misprints and oddities. Altered cards, sketch cards, and artist proofs are also one of my specialties. My experience in Magic Gathering has gone to any level of collecting you may have. I look forward to working with you.
Vintage Magic. Game, collect, invest. For more information about our consulting and professional services, visit VintageMagic.com.